That'd be a good time to watch it.
You'd be surprised the amount of time that's spent hours underneath those overpasses.
I know, especially now with the unpredictable weather. It's insane.
It really is. But the movie's a wonderful movie. It has a tremendous theme, not only patriotism for our WW2 vets, also for our Vietnam vets, also for our young men and women who are serving in the sandbox over there right now, who've made us old guys very, very proud of the service that they've done. Our young Marines, airmen, sailors, and soldiers have done an outstanding job of carrying on our tradition, our heritage, and our honor, and we're just very, very proud of what they're doing.
Well, not to say I'm proud of the people of the United States, because I know that there's a lot of people who are tired of this war, and they are not reacting to the soldiers coming home the way they did the guys coming home from Vietnam. You know, they are taking it out where it needs to be taken out, which is on the politicians.
Correct.
And so,
You can criticize the war, but not the warrior.
no,
You know, the warriors are just doing their job.
right.
You know, they receive a set of orders. You know, they don't have the opportunity to say, well, I'd like to voice my opinion. You don't get that option in the United States Marine Corps or any other branch of service. So the young men and women that are serving our country today are doing a phenomenal job. The politicians, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right. And as of right now, it's a real scary time. We got news today that I guess Egypt is in full-out, full-out revolt mode.
It is total revolt over there now, yeah.
And
Mubarak is supposed to be
he's
on
stepping
TV
down.
tonight or
Yeah, he's
something.
stepping down today. So it's a scary time over there in the Middle East. And I'm assuming that the United States is not going to intervene in any way, shape, or form, but who knows?
I would hope not. I would hope that the extent of our intervention is going to be to say, congratulations on whoever's taken over. We sure do hope we can work together, because our ally is Egypt, our ally is not Mubarak.
Right.
Correct.
You know, so I would like for them to make sure that that is known to whoever steps in and takes over. And hopefully it won't be just a continuation of the regime's sort of thing, and not another 30-year guy.
Well, but what's scary is, yes, Egypt's getting a lot of play, but the whole region is destabilizing.
Yes.
Yemen is falling apart. You know, there's this, I mean, they're toppling like checkers. And, you know, everybody's saying, well, this is great if democracy ushers in, and I can't help but thinking that Al-Qaeda is behind this somehow. It's all way too convenient.
You know,
It makes me nervous.
I can understand you thinking that, but as someone that's actually worked with groups like that, that's just not their style. You know, that's not Al-Qaeda's style. They don't work well with others. They don't
Right,
play
they don't
well with
play
others.
well with others, and I understand
And to
that.
be able to pull off something like this is just, in my opinion, it's way beyond them.
Yeah, but they're enlisting a whole new breed of warrior. They're enlisting these young guys, and you saw it happen. They went after the young guys because they were easy to sort of build that cult mentality into. And the young guys are smart. They understand how to use the internet. They understand how to use the social media networks.
Right,
It's a
right.
big red flag. We need to be watching.
There's-
And the thing that's scary about this to me is that if you watch the media and what the media reports and you really pay attention, our media here is used to win the hearts and the minds of the people, just like we use the media in other countries to control the hearts and the minds of the people.
Right.
I can't help but think it's mighty convenient that we have all of these stories about how these social media networks and all of that. At the same time, we're about to have a discussion about freedom of the press and what people can write and what people can say. And it makes me very nervous that we're going to use some of these incidents as a sounding board for limiting our own freedom of speech and our own freedom of the press here in this country.
Right, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, you know.
Our
that's-
show's the first to go.
Yeah, we'll be quick. We'll be one of the first ones off, I guarantee it.
Shows
But-
you're doing something right, though.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it is. I take great heart in one particular story from over there in Egypt that makes me think that it's not Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood that's actually running this thing so much. And that's the fact that, do you remember, was it last week or a little bit before that, when the Antiquities Museum was being raided? A group of men stormed it, and they were going to raid it, and they were in the process of raiding it. And the civilian people, the regular people that were out protesting, stopped them. They got them out, And they linked arms to keep anyone from getting back in and destroying the Egyptian heritage. Now, that is very much an Al-Qaeda type of thing to do, because they're the ones that wanted to destroy all of the ancient artifacts in Afghanistan anyway. Do you
Right.
remember when that occurred, when
Yeah.
they just destroyed these fantastic treasures? And apparently somebody had the same idea to do in Egypt, because it did not bring glory to Allah in Islam, so they wanted to destroy that.
Yeah, but it
And-
doesn't mean they didn't start it, it just means the people are wiser.
yeah, well, Joe, average Egyptian,
Right.
said, oh, no, you're not going to do this, you're not pulling that here. And they went and they stopped it. That gives me hope about what's going on in Egypt right now. That makes me think that if it were along the lines of an Iranian takeover and a fundamentalist Islamic thing, no one would have gotten in their way to stop it. They would have helped. They
Yes,
would have
but-
just destroyed it all.
The only thing President Obama, I almost couldn't remember his name, has said that I've agreed with the whole time in his whole entire presidency was we cannot have elections over in Egypt too soon, because the only people who are organized in order to have a real run of an election is the Islamic Brotherhood. And so we really have to be careful.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he said I agreed with, this whole presidency.
Yeah, but I have to, I will say a different thing on that, is like, it's not our place to have the election in Egypt. It's theirs.
No, he wasn't talking about us specifically having it, but he was
I
talking
got
about
you, I
being able
understand
to
now.
have a fair election. I mean, and as far as all of that goes, my concern, I'm a typical American. Sorry about Egypt, but it's about me. How is this going to affect my freedom of the press? How is this going to affect my ability to use Facebook?
Well-
Sorry about your luck, Egypt, but what is this going to do to us? How are they going to use this?
Well, speaking
Yeah.
of a way that a lot of the people are listening to us right now over the internet.
Right. At www.waif883.org.
That is correct. That's very good the way you did that to us so fast.
I do it.
But in any event,
My
though,
calling is an auctioneer.
they are talking about giving the President of the United States an internet off switch. I mean, have you seen this?
No.
Well, do
But I
a
do my
search on
best
it.
to feed you information that we can use.
Yeah, do a search on that and see what you can come up with, because there's talk right now about giving the president that kind of power to have himself an internet off switch.
Which
to where
would
he
kill
can-
your show, because it's all internet.
Yes.
It's very cutting edge, Two-Wheel Thunder television, not, the Easy Rider movie, but Two-Wheel Thunder television, very internet.
Well, it is, because we can target a direct market.
Right.
And it's very specific, and we can target a direct group of individuals. And if you start cutting off that direct marketing to those people, that impedes your freedom of speech and your ability to have capitalism the way you want it.
Although I am amazed at the amount of freedom of speech that's out there on the
Yes.
internet already. Because you did your interview with me on Blog Talk Radio at Carrie's World there. And it fascinates me that no one monitors those.
Oh, no.
No one knows what's being said, what we're talking about, what we're doing when we're there on that station. And it's all internet-based.
Oh, that's called freedom of speech.
I know.
You're allowed to do
But
that.
now they're giving the president an off switch.
Right.
all
It'd
fired
be
up.
along the lines of what Hosni Mubarak had when the trouble first started in Egypt. Remember when he shut down the internet completely in the whole country?
Yeah.
There was no internet news getting in or out, and since a large majority of news right now is transmitted over the internet from the reports and from the people in the field and such, a lot of them had no way to get anything out. The only information that was actually getting out of the country about what was going on were some of the BBC people and Al Jazeera that happened to have their portable satellite
Right.
things that they could put on the roof of their hotel and broadcast from there and say, hey, this is what's going on.
Right. It's very scary. And I think, I have a theory that people have a big enough internet addiction, a big enough addiction to Facebook and all of those things, that if you shut down their internet in this country, they would revolt because they want their fix. They're like little crack addicts with their little crackberries in their hands, wanting to get their latest update of what's going on in the world from all of these different social media networks, this Twitter and Facebook and,
Well, it's everywhere.
it is.
And people feel like that they have to be in contact 24/7. No longer is email adequate.
I think it's overwhelming and anxiety provoking.
Yes.
I don't
Email is
think
not adequate anymore.
I myself am not anxiety provoked at all by it. As a matter of fact, I'm very, very happy that they actually are able to listen to us in Seattle, Washington right now.
No, I'm glad that they get to listen to us everywhere, but I mean the need that people feel to stay constantly, connected. Somebody sent me an email yesterday at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and when I hadn't responded,
They were
by
quiet.
6 o'clock, they had sent 3 additional emails and a phone call. I don't feel the necessity to turn around on my BlackBerry and report right back to folks whatever it is they want. I like that we can do radio shows and television programs and movies and have them at immediate access when we want it. But I don't necessarily feel like my life needs to have immediate access from everybody and anybody on the planet.
Well, it's amazing. I can be on the highway running the speed limit on a Harley
Yeah,
Davidson.
right.
And people will call me and they will say, well, Jimmy, you didn't answer your phone.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, I ride a Harley, I can't hear it ring. And
Well,
they
not
say,
only that, how do you talk with one hand on a Harley?
well, they have communication devices
Okay.
now where you actually have Bluetooth. We've tested
well,
some Bluetooth
okay.
devices on them now, hands-free communication system. Well, you didn't answer your telephone. Well, I'm sorry. Well, they said put it on vibrate. Well, let me go back to my first statement. I ride a Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to hear it ring. You're not going to
Right.
feel it on the vibration. But they get upset. Some of these companies get really upset if you don't respond to them back very, very quickly. Like I said, email is not satisfactory anymore. So when you stop to get fuel, you've got to stop and you've got to return 15 phone calls.
Right.
Or people are ticked off at you.
It's pretty amazing that it's created this society where people feel like they should have access to you 24/7. You know, and I have to remind people all the time, you are not my mama. I
Correct.
like my privacy. I like to be, I gave a presentation to a group on Tuesday, and I said the best thing about my job is that 9 times out of 10, I do it in my pajamas from my bed behind my computer.
There you go.
People have the access to me that I want to give them,
That's
and
right,
I
and that's the way it
control
should be.
that access. I had somebody say once, well, we feel like we know everything that's going on with you because you've got a blog and you post on Facebook and this and that. I said, no, you only know what I want you to know is going on with me.
That's correct.
And you really can create, anyone can create this persona about who they are based on the way they control the information that they put out there about themselves. And it's really pretty amazing. Speaking of trying to control perceptions, I want to make sure that we get this story in for our listeners. This is Peggy in Texas who listens to the show, so if anybody's ever, listens to the show on a regular basis, you've heard Peggy call in, but she sent this to us that J.P. Morgan Chase is admitting that it overcharged military veterans, and the bank is now issuing $10 million in refunds, and it admits mistakenly overcharging 4,000 active duty military, and this included taking their homes, late fees, things like that while they were on deployments overseas. And they have to make that right now.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, and also that they admit that they mistakenly did it. I'm sorry, they didn't mistakenly do it.
No.
They did it totally and completely on purpose.
Absolutely, because there was a wife on the other end of that phone saying, I don't know what you want me to do.
That's right.
I made those phone calls as a military wife. Look, he's deployed. You won't let me make the payment because I'm not him. It's in his name. I don't know what you want me to do. You won't answer my questions about the payment because it's not in my name, but he's deployed. I have this piece of paper, but you won't accept it because it's faxed. I know that role. I did that role. They won't take a fax copy. They don't have a bank in your area. It has to be notarized. They do. They jerk people around in order to jack up the price, in order to charge them stuff, in order to take their homes. It's outrageous.
Banks and financial institutions that deal with the military, they make the people left on the home front, the wives and the families and the children, they make their job so difficult that it's disgraceful.
It is.
Their husbands, their moms and dads, they're over there fighting for our freedom. And like you said, they're doing everything that they possibly can. What do you expect these women to do? What do you expect the deployed person to do? He can't leave and go
No.
take care of this. So these banks and these institutions, they need to take some kind of responsibility for the actions. So now they're giving back some of their homes. They're refunding some of their money. That doesn't compensate them for the inconvenience, the heartache, the embarrassment, moving their kids, taking them out of school, the total disruption of their lives.
Well, you'd be amazed at the people that I would deal with, the stupid customer service people that I would deal with, who luckily at that time were actually in America, because had someone in Pakistan said something to me, I probably would have come through the phone at them. But they used to say, well, could you get him on the phone?
Yes.
He's in the field.
Mhm.
Well, can you just have him call us?
You don't
He's
get it, they don't get
in
it.
the field.
No.
He's in a hot
think
LZ.
it's
They
yeah.
don't give you a phone.
You know, there's not a save button on the war, I'm
Right.
sorry, so that he can walk away, you know.
Yeah.
513-749-1444 if you want to join the conversation.